Good afternoon. In this week's Sidra of Mattot, we read within a single word about a fundamental relationship change that took place within the Jewish people, and I think it's one that's very valuable for us for all of life. What's the context? The Jewish people have been commanded to wage war against Midian in retaliation for the attack that the Midianites launched on the Jewish people, essentially on Jewish values and on their morals. And we will lead an army. Pinchas, the man who stood in the breach to defend the Jewish people, will lead an army of 12,000 men, 1,000 from each tribe, against the Midianite nation. And that army will ultimately be successful. Within that army, the leader is Pinchas. Pinchas, the man who stood up to the Midianite threat at the beginning, is given the responsibility for continuing the work that he started. Once you've taken on a responsibility for something necessary and positive, you should continue that, and that's what Pinchas is going to do. And within that as well, Hashem gives Moshe the mitzvah. Hashem says, Moshe, this is the last undertaking. You must arrange for this war to be fought against Midian, and afterwards you will die. This is the last thing that you will ever really achieve in this lifetime. And Moshe is praised for his zeal, for his ability to do it with alacrity, for not holding back. He doesn't, dither in an attempt to try to prolong his life. No. He goes for it. He does it, what he's supposed to do immediately. However, the word that I'm talking about is not a word used to describe Moshe, but one used to describe the Jewish people. It says, Vayemasaru me'alfei Yisrael elef lemateh. And 1,000 people from each tribe were handed over, were delivered. The 1,000 people were delivered from the tribe. What do you mean they were delivered from the tribe? Surely they volunteered. Surely they stepped forward. This is something that Hashem wants. Hashem wants us to show that this is not acceptable. To show ourselves, to show others, to restore justice to the world. Why should they not volunteer for a holy mission? And Rashi tells us they were reluctant to participate, not because they didn't embrace the goal, but because they knew that this would herald the end of Moshe. And so nobody wanted to be involved in this action that would be essentially sealing Moshe's fate, that would be ending his life. And Rashi points out that at the beginning of Moshe's mission, Moshe's relationship with the Jewish people is quite a prickly and thorny one in many ways. The extent they start complaining about the water, Moshe says, Od me'atus kaluni, a little bit more, they're going to stone me. These people don't support me. Not only do they not support me, they're going to kill me. Moshe's only there because Hashem is on his side, so to speak. And yet here we see 40 years later, the Jewish people's love for Moshe has developed to an extent that they don't want almost to go into this war. They do it, but they were delivered, they were handed over, they had to be entrusted. They didn't volunteer for this mission because of their love and their respect for Moshe. The reason I find this so powerful is because there's a phenomenon that I personally have witnessed, and several people have agreed with me, that as we become older, we tend to become more cynical. And I think that's a result of a lifetime of disappointments. Now, the truth is, it's a lifetime of achievements as well. But we begin whatever kind of changes we want to make in the world with a sense of idealism, with a sense of purity, with almost a holy naivete that we are going to go forward with this wonderful thing, and it's going to do such good things in the world. Everyone's going to be happy. I've got such good intentions. We see in life it doesn't work like that, and there are challenges and there are difficulties, and after all of this it can whittle away until a person's idealism is all but gone, and what remains is this bitter cynicism, God forbid. But so often that attitude misses the fact of what in fact you have accomplished, of the great deal that you have done. Moshe, who at times had such despair with the Jewish people and with the way in which they treated him, that he says to Hashem, take my life, I cannot deal with this anymore, I want to die. Moshe had moments of bitter despair. At the end of his life, not only has he done so much for this nation and brought them out of Egypt and brought for them the Torah and established a new generation that is now going to be ready to enter the land of Israel. But at the end of his life, they love him, they trust him, they respect him, they don't want him to go to his final end. And so for all of us, we must never let those hard times get us down and take away the values and the ideals that we started with. Because if we keep to them in a steadfast and faithful way, we will see by the end of our lives, not only have we achieved them, but everything that we thought stood in our way has actually been changed to good. Shabbat Shalom.